Hey, welcome to another edition of Kyle Meredith with. It's the interview series presented by WFPK at WFPK.org. Consequence and the Consequence Podcast Network. Thanks as always for making your way here for checking out the series. Of course, you know what to do. If you like what you see, what you hear, hit that subscribe button. I put out 3 new interviews every single week. So it's a great way to keep up with all of your favorite artists. And I am so excited. Jon Benjamin, aka Jon Benjamin, aka the Jazz Daredevil, is here. Hello,
A
sir.
lot of names.
Your phone okay?
Yeah, I have to hold it up, and I have limited mobility, but I think my arm will work to hold this up for at least a half hour.
All right.
Look, I'm not complaining.
I was complaining for you.
Yeah,
Midwestern thing.
that seems to be the opposite of how people perceive the Midwest, right?
Well,
No,
it's not the
no,
complaining.
no, no complaining.
It's that's what I'm talking about. It's the overcorrecting of I'm making sure, are you okay? It's the overcorrection
No,
of are
that
you
yes, yes,
okay?
yeah, 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 yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I'm
Right.
taking that burden off of you.
We're the perfect yin yang.
Right, there we go.
The Jew and the Midwesterner. It's a classic sitcom premise.
That's it.
Yeah,
That's gonna be great for everybody.
yeah,
And of course, the things that everyone knows you from Bob's Burgers and Archer's. I've been such a big fan for such a very, very long time. And I love that you have continued what we're talking about today with the Jazz Daredevil, the third, I think, in the series, the original
yeah.
motion picture soundtrack of the unproduced film, the Jazz Daredevil. This is fun. I don't know if you can give, I mean, sure, I think you can give the background on this. This is sort of the continuing saga.
I think this is like a new, maybe a new iteration for the Jazz Daredevil, but some of the stuff, if you've loved the Jazz Daredevil's music, you will appreciate. But there's some new additions in this version. We've made an entire soundtrack to a movie that doesn't exist, that maybe someday will. We did the soundtrack first. It's not typically the way you would do it. Usually, maybe I'm speaking the obvious here, but you make the movie and then the fans go out and buy the soundtrack. We're switching it up. So you'll have to hear the soundtrack first, try and figure out what the movie's about. Hopefully, you'll be interested in what that movie is about, even though it's kind of convoluted and hard to figure out. But if you get through that, I think maybe there's a chance we'll make the movie.
Yeah. Although at this point we know sort of how the movie will end. I mean, you might have to, do some twisty turny.
I don't know. Do you?
Do you? I don't know. Listen, I like hearing it like this one because it's
Do you
funny.
know who died? Do you know who died?
Oh, you know what? I didn't really consider it like that, right?
Mm.
Because what I was about to say is it's the way you do because when you're listening to this sort of piece together the story, like,
Yep,
using the old brain box to figure out what the movie
exactly.
looks like in my head.
Wait, do you have a brain box?
You better believe it, buddy. I got it
Holy shit.
got it at Home Depot on a Saturday.
That's one of the first. Yeah. There's not many people out there who have those yet.
I appreciate
Yeah.
that.
I would
Thank you
like
for
to come
noticing.
over and use yours.
Check out the old brain box. Open her up.
Hmm. Hmm.
It is fun though because and I'll back up. So there was the first Jazz Daredevil album and it was just fun jazz with great musicians and yourself playing piano badly. Then we
Yeah.
get the second one, which is these iconic film scores, which goes more into the
Mm.
Moog territory. But this is the
Yeah.
first time, like, this is a fleshed out
Hmm.
character. There is a script involved. Like,
We're
how
trying to get we're trying to get less and less fun. That's what we're doing.
But like, is that the truth? Like, was this ever really actually pitched as a movie first? Or do you
Uh,
come up with the concept like this?
no, there's a real movie.
There is a real movie.
There's a full script. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which was passed on many, many times by different studios and producers. So we made the soundtrack from the movie. So there's an actual movie there. So all the dialogue parts you're hearing in the movie comes from an actual script that exists on my shelf, sitting on my shelf.
So one of these days, but that's the era that I mean, we've been in this era for a little while now, but like what we all have to do, one, because creative people have to stay creative, but two, everyone's got a job and everyone's going after a job. And so the things that we go through just to be able to also do the next project, because you can, right? You can take it like if someone doesn't want something, you can like the hell with it, I'm doing it. I'm doing it however
Uh-huh.
I want to do it, you know. Like that's
Yes.
I don't know, there's some freedom to that. Do you feel like it's freedom?
Yeah, that was like honestly, when we had written the script, we kind of like certainly had illusions that we were going to get it made. Like anything. And then figuring out a way to get the idea out there, uh, that is the creative part, and there is freedom in that. Yeah.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, not that it always works out, but like if the end of the story is uh, a few people get to see the Jazz Daredevil movie, that'll be a beautiful ending.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to happen that way, but at least you get the soundtrack.
But it could happen. But it could
But,
happen.
but it could happen
Yeah,
in
it could
in a
happen.
in a perfect world.
Yeah. Where did the Jazz Daredevil come from?
He came from America. He came from he was he was born and raised in central Massachusetts. He I was just I was trying to remember how I conceived the character, and I think it actually came from a comedy bit. Oh, we were just talking about this with my family. My son's 21 now. I think it was the first time he ever saw me perform. Uh, and it was in a Bob's Burgers live show where they had all the cast members do stand up. And for one of the bits I did, um, I used to do a bit where, and forgive me, it's pretty murky. Um, but I used to do a bit where I'd bring out there would be a piano on stage, and I would say that music has been a big part of what got me through my childhood. I was very I was brought up very very wealthy, um, upper middle class, and music really helped get me through that. And
Like the Ben Folds rocking a suburb type of a thing. It's
yeah, and then I'd like to play a song about that experience and how music was an outlet for me, and then I would just bang on the keys and be like, yeah, I was wealthy. I didn't need to learn how to play piano.
that's a
who
good
who
bit. That's
It was a good bit, but it like kind of bombed. And my son was like, "Boy, you suck." And then everybody else, like Eugene Merman and Kristen Shaw, all the cast members, they killed. And
Mhm.
I, for some reason, so I took offense to my son's dislike of my comedy, and I just pushed back and created a whole character that would play that poorly.
Your character
So
is almost
my son inspired me to get him back
to
for
create a
his.
character out of spite. This is the spite
Mhm.
character.
It's the age old story, right?
Yeah.
Father versus son. This is right.
Well, thank goodness it happened. We all benefited from from that
Yeah,
little
yeah.
moment, right? Yeah.
Yes, no, I have him to thank for saying, like, yeah, that was terrible, Dad. I'm so sorry.
So, and that further makes me question, like, if the Jazz Daredevil himself, as he says in the early, when because the saga starts with him trying to sell his soul to the devil, which doesn't work out, but
Hmm.
yet he releases the albums. He knows
Hmm.
he's not the genius that he wanted to be.
Yeah, yeah.
It's one thing to go into a club and play it, to go through the entire process of making the record, knowing who he is, and still says, "But I'm putting it out."
Hmm.
like like is that blind confidence? Like what
Um,
drives that?
Yeah, I suppose it's a combination of blind confidence and pride,
Mhm.
hubris. He's not going to let it's just a tragic story, right? Practically Greek in
Practically.
in its scope. Yes, he's not going to give up the ability to not play
Yeah.
well. He's not going to let that go. So yeah, that would be my take on the Jazz Daredevil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, as I do listen to the soundtrack, and as we're talking about sort of piecing together these moments, the lead female part, does she has she heard those first two albums? Does she know who he is?
That's up to interpretation, but I think we in the script and in the on the album in the first scene, she does say she's a big fan. Now,
Okay.
whether or not she's a big fan from his previous work, it's sort of unclear.
Mhm.
Um, he did just play her a song live in a jazz club. So whether or not she was referring to what I just heard or your entire body of work, not quite sure.
Yeah.
Not quite sure it matters either. Um, but my guess is she's a fan of his work. Like she's heard albums before.
See,
Because
that's what I.
in the movie she is kind of also in the music industry. So
Mhm.
uh,
Mhm.
if you apply it to real life, yeah. But things are a little murky in this Jazz Daredevil world. It's kind of a comic book.
Right. That's what I liked about it, though. It almost takes those first two albums in like it just adds another layer, a little dimension to it. Now those albums that you've just put out with this character are now part of more of a story than just they were. I don't know. It's fun. It's
Well,
fun.
yes, fun. Well, the character is himself involved in this, even
Mhm.
outside the world of the albums, involved in this, and that's me in this epic struggle of having to figure out how to do another album. Um, so you're kind of seeing the product of that.
Yeah. The songs on here, they all say the fact that you worked in braggadocious into the lyrics.
Mm-hmm.
Very impressive. See, that's one of
Now,
those moments, you were
now,
talking about the jump off from Bob's Burgers. Like, that's when I'm like, how big of an influence has that music had on this? And that's one of those moments where I go, maybe that's one of those. Who
oh,
does
that,
braggadocious as a lyric and makes it work?
yeah, yeah. It rhymes with, sort of rhymes with atrocious.
It's in there. Limo ride,
Yeah.
another like limo ride's a moment like it's pretty and it's chaotic. And of course it's
Uh-huh.
creepy. It reminds me
Uh-huh.
a little bit of what is it? The David Lynch movie Lost Highway. I don't know if you've ever seen.
Oh, okay. Nice. Yes, I have. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Very good
yeah,
scoring for David Lynch movies too, as well.
yeah. It was a good script,
You
and
know,
I'm dropping that guy's name.
we pulled a little bit from Bernard Herman type orchestral. Vertigo was an album we listened to a lot when we were recording. Uh, but I don't want to get too heady about it because we didn't do a lot of research.
How does the writing happen? Like you're working with collaborators, I know. Like, on the musical side, are you writing the music? Are you like conducting, producing? Like a song like Limo Ride, I guess is.
I wouldn't say, yeah, limo ride would be a good example of how, if I had to discuss process, like inside the actor's studio or something. Uh,
Uh-huh.
I would say we did have a Bernard Herman reference from Vertigo. Zach Seaman, who was doing the music with me, would build a orchestral track very in the vein of Bernard Herman.
Mhm.
And then I would run to a piano and hit notes that I thought might make sense. So there's not a lot of takes. It goes very
Beautiful.
fast. It goes very fast.
Because if you do too many
Uh,
takes, you're going to start learning the song.
yes, and I will have to. Luckily, it is jazz, so that I don't have to play exactly the same notes. Although I guess I assume, I don't know, you have to learn if you were in jazz class, you have to learn like Freddie Freeloader or something. You have to learn it
Right.
the way it's played. But I'm the Jazz Daredevil. I don't have to do that. I can play it differently every time. I could get in the ballpark.
Right. Oh, and
Yeah,
that's fine because it's jazz. Again, because it's jazz.
exactly. Right. It's a new interpretation. Everybody, when I play it live, it's a little bit different. My live
The
version is
greatest
going to be,
out you could have done. That's beautiful. That's
yeah, I'm totally covered.
well, okay.
I will never ever have to learn how to play piano.
Opposite sounds on this record. Murder plot. Metal.
Yes.
Where? How did that one happen then?
Well, that's luckily I know Brenden Smalls from my work with him on home movies, and he did the long uh, many seasons of a show, Metalocalypse. And we had created a character in the script that was like played metal, and the caretaker of in the story of this takes place at this lake house retreat. And the caretaker has a small cottage, and he's the metalhead, and he played. So we just called Brenden and said we record a metal song. I sent him the lyrics because they apply to the story, and he sent me Murder Plot back in like 24 hours. He did everything. So um, he's so good, and so fast, and yeah, we that was a plan to work that song in there from the beginning anyway. But picking Brenden was perfect.
Yeah, it's such a fun moment when that hits too, because you don't expect it. Yeah, I mean, I just, had the earbuds out doing the thing, and
Yeah, yeah,
which I could also say about the sex scene song too. Things you didn't expect if you're not looking at the track list.
yeah, yeah. That's uncomfortable. Yeah, I hope that's not how I really sound, but it's possible.
How many people were in the room when you were recording that one?
Um, all my ex girlfriends.
Wow, yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
That's
remember?
you remember because I'm listening, and of course, here you are going through the sounds, and I just know where's she at in this? That's, but I guess it's funnier if
Well,
you don't have her.
that's the twist.
Yeah, that's just
Yeah,
you.
there's many ways to interpret that.
Yeah.
Could have been a dream. Could have been a bit of self love.
Hmm.
Uh, or it could have been she really did enjoy the experience, but
Very
I did.
even loud for self-love, I believe. I love the idea just of you in the box recording that though. Like I love just picturing what that must have been like.
I think I'm pretty sure there were more than three people there, and yes, yeah.
Yeah. Good thing
And
you're an
I would
actor.
say Alexis Rose Kesselman, who did the vocals for Lorraine, I think was there for that, and that I did have to apologize like profusely for that.
By the way, and she sounds fantastic.
She's great. She's
Yeah.
yeah. She has a great voice.
When her song comes on there, early on, and
Right, and
you can.
she's a singer in her own right, does her own stuff. Very different from the style of music that we had her sing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So, do you consider? Okay, so let's say the movie doesn't get made. It's the soundtrack.
I'll bet you $1,000 the movie doesn't get made. But go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, so do you consider like the continuing saga? Do you spell this out a little bit more? Is there a part two of this
Sequel.
sequel deeper? I don't know, whatever it is. Do you think that there's more Jazz Daredevil?
I hope so. I hope so. I like the ability to keep not being able to play piano. That desire will never stop. It's just like for anybody who can play. I have the same desire, just the not the same ability. So it's like asking someone, "Are you gonna ever stop playing piano?" You ask a piano player that, and they will probably say, "No, I'm not going to stop." So no, I'm not going to stop.
Jazz Daredevil rides again and again.
He will. He will.
What else is going on? I was just looking at some other stuff. Master of None. Does that ever get brought up? Because that was great work in that show.
Not in my household, but not because I've told people to never mention it. But yeah, that was a fun show to do. I had a small role in that overall. But I had been friendly with Aziz for years prior, and yeah, I haven't heard anybody mention it in a while.
It was
But
great work that you did in that. It's nice seeing you in these
oh,
different
okay,
different
yeah,
ways.
yeah,
That's what I'm
yeah,
getting
yeah,
at.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. I mean,
I've like I've realized I've no formal acting training, um, and I just did a dramatic role last year in a film called Familiar Touch, which is going to Venice, premiering in Venice this year, where I had to cry, and I was like terrified that I'm gonna fuck up this movie entirely, and I did pretty well. I cried a lot.
you figured it
Uh,
out. Like how did you do that? If you didn't have the training, like do you go through a YouTube tutorial or do you just like you got it? Like you feel it?
I'm I'm just sad.
Mine comes easy.
Yeah, so I know I can play dramatic roles now because I'm just a mess. I'm a mess.
Make
So
you cry. Okay.
if you need a character that's a mess,
Call John up. That's
yeah, I haven't. It's most likely I hadn't slept the night before. So I what was that like? Laurence Olivier, Dustin Hoffman, right? Wasn't that like
was that their
uh,
thing?
Hoffman for Marathon Man, like
Uh-huh.
stay up for 4 nights in a row so that he could.
I didn't know that.
And Olivier uh, told him, "Why don't you try acting?" Um, so I'm more on the Hoffman. I'm a method. Without any training. I'm a intuitive method actor.
See, now I mean, most directors I know, it's like you get there however you can. Like that's on you. That's, however we get it, whatever it takes. That's
Right.
don't think too much about it.
It's just lucky it worked out, I think, is the
Yeah.
truth.
That's
But
coming out
yeah.
next year?
I don't know. I mean, it's premiering in Venice, and then I
Uh-huh.
assume it has to go through,
Sure.
whatever. But it was a great experience in a very serious movie, and I haven't seen it yet, so I'll see it hopefully in the fall
Cool.
and see myself crying.
Well, I'll look forward to it. We'll all look forward to your
But
moment.
I'll also see myself crying in the mirror right after this interview.
Oh, for some reason, I still appreciate that. I don't know. That still sounds.
No, no, it's not your fault.
I'm supposed to tell you it's not your fault. Let me,
Right, 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 right.
right. That's the thing. Seriously,
That's our
this,
thing.
yeah, the record. I love that this character still exists and that you're doing what you're doing with this movie or not. Please keep doing these albums. It is fantastic. And seriously, man, it has been such a pleasure. It really
Yeah,
has.
the
Thanks for
same.
taking the time.
Yeah, it was really nice talking with you.
All right, let your arm rest.
Yeah, there we
Go
go. Oh my God,
do
there.
your thing.
Yeah,
That's what I did. I give you lip wrist today.
yeah, yeah. It was all day now.
And thanks to my guest. Also, thanks to you for checking out the episode in the series. Before you get out of here, hit that subscribe button. Again, you get 3 brand new interviews every single week. New one every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at right here on YouTube, or of course anywhere in podcast land, including iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podchaser, NPR, or WFPK.org as well. A great way to keep up with your favorite artists and discover new ones as well. Then after that, actually head over to WFPK.org. That's where I do a show Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern. It's an hour full of song premieres, music news, anniversary spins, bonus interviews, Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern at WFPK.org. Consequence has your music and film news. You can also find me on the social media spots, Facebook, Instagram, mostly on Twitter. All 3 of them, the address is at Kyle Meredith. Do hope you like and follow along. That does it for another edition. I'm Kyle Meredith. I'll see you next time.